Welcome to another episode of Back to the Nets. It's been a while since we last caught up with regards to Arsenal. A lot has happened over the last 2-3 weeks since we met, and it's good to be back. With us here, we have Kayur. Hey, Kayur.
Hi, hi,
Good to
hi.
be back.
Good to be
Good to have
back.
you back
Yes,
here.
been a while.
Yes. We have a lot to discuss today. We don't have Samved with us today, but yeah, let's get straight to it. So, Kayur, the last time we met, we discussed about the Leicester game, and we were looking forward to the Liverpool game. A lot has happened over the last 2 weeks per se, with a tough defeat against Liverpool, then a interesting victory against Liverpool, followed by a victory against Sheffield United, which was a gritty victory. And let's not get into details of each of the match, but if we see one thing that we saw over all three matches was when it came to Arsenal, was that Arsenal kind of lacked creativity. I think both of us can agree to that. In all three matches, the number of chances we created was quite less. But what was your take on that? From what was your overall view on all three matches that you saw?
I think, hit it on the head with you hit the nail on the head with the lack of creativity. It has been, I think, it has been an open. I mean, it's the numbers won't lie. We have it out there that we have absolutely not created anything from the center. Our best chances if there is a cutback from the one of the corners or the
Yeah,
wings. But besides that, I think that with that strategy that we have, with the lack of creativity, Oba becomes a little bit redundant. He doesn't really contribute much from the left as much as we would want him to. Becomes a little bit unidirectional.
yeah,
Put a few men on him, and Arsenal is nothing without him. So, and
yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I understand Arteta is trying to find his starting 11, consistent starting 11, but I don't understand why he's setting out Pepe so much. Pepe is probably one or two of those players who can take players on.
Exactly. I mean, right now we can only speculate on Pepe, but probably there are some. Maybe I mean, if maybe he's not up fit, or maybe right now Arteta just prefers Willian, or maybe the system and such. But yeah, what you said is correct, because Pepe is one of those players who has that certain magic in him where he can take the game by himself, if he, and we could rightly see in the match against Sheffield where he was involved in a bit in the first goal, and the second goal was he taking the game by his own
Yes,
self, like, which was. And we've not had such a player since someone like, say, Alexis Sanchez, who would just say, like, give me the ball, I'll do it. Oba tends to do it, but Oba requires a lot more support as compared to, someone who can maybe run from the halfway line also and dribble past players and do things. Pepe is that kind of a player, and
absolutely.
it was good to see him get a goal. Like, he needed that goal badly because he was under a lot of criticism too. So yeah, but apart from creativity, see, two things we had discussed always, and everybody knew Arsenal lacked in two areas. One was an engine in the middle, and one was a more creative option. One option that we did see, and there were strong rumors were of Jose Mauer, where Arsenal did make a bid. The bid was, I guess, not up to the mark, and even Lyon rejected it. And then there are rumors of our brother who was asking for a lot of a high commission for the deal. That move didn't fall through, but what was the impact of not signing a player like our? We'll get to the other part, player and profile, later, but how important, we
I
know that
think
OR was important, but do you think this is going to be a big impact on our season?
massive impact. I mean, right now we know we have sidelined Ozil, so let's not even bring him in. We lack
Yes,
creativity in the
yes,
center.
yeah,
Ceballos is the one who probably might has
yeah,
have that vision. He's not completely ready yet. I mean, I know he
yeah,
does good in bits and pieces, but our would have made a massive change with the fact that it's not just the wings we attack from. Now we also have to worry about the
yeah,
center when it comes to Arsenal. And if you look at all the
yeah,
teams so far, Liverpool losing, there is some kind of a some kind of a vulnerability to Liverpool as well as City as well as United,
yes.
and this was our chance to exploit it. I think that
Ch-
we should have gone all out and got him. Show the faith in
yes,
Arteta, go and get him, and let's just let people know that we are coming in. That also adds the added pressure to teams like Liverpool,
yeah,
right? With another
yeah,
dimension to attack, they won't come out and attack against us as much as we would want to. I mean, we have seen them in the past.
exactly. Yeah,
And
and that's yeah.
one more thing that I do see is we have talked about our, and I don't want to make it seem like the grapes are sour, but if you look at ours record, conventionally he has created, but it's not really that astronomical. So when I
Yes,
think about it on
yes.
the
So
retrospective, that why is it that people are going, not big teams are going after him? Maybe his numbers are
yeah.
not really justifying. It's us Arsenal fans who are hyping him to that level.
Yes, possible. I was actually going to bring up that point. So I don't have the figures with me, but I read it somewhere that last season he had like 4 goals and 3 assists, or 3 goals and 4 assists in the league, and in the Champions League he had like say some 4 assists, which is a good return, which shows that probably it could have been the system. Or but then again you're playing in the French league and those numbers were quite low to be in the first place. He's a talented player, no doubt, but in Arsenal's point of view, if the club expects you to pay 40-50 million for a player like that, it's a big risk. We did pay a lot for Pepe, and sadly, the price tag always comes in the picture for Pepe, which is unfair for Pepe in a way. But the same thing would have happened to Awar also. Now, I have another thing to put it forward to you. Like when we were discussing between you and Samvir, I was one who said that the more important role for us was to get an engine, a player at the heart of the midfield, and I was one who was you know pushing forward to get someone like Partey. The reason for me was that when you get someone like Partey, he brings an overall balance to the team. No doubt, Awar would have given us maybe that extra factor in the final third. Partey balances the team. And the reason why I'm saying is that Partey can play in a midfield to a double pivot. He can play at the base. And he has, people tend to look at him that because of his build, he's just this CDM. He's not. He's a player who does dribble, who carries the ball a bit.
Hmm.
Maybe might lack the final third, but he's that fellow who is going to be the engine in the midfield. And it's fantastic to have. Now, the reason why I say with Partey improves the balance is one is it allows Arteta to play a back four maybe and have a three-man midfield. And when you have a three-man midfield, there are alternatives to our, in my opinion. Like if you pay someone like Partey at the base, you can have the likes of Ceballos and even Saka. Saka is someone who's traditionally looked as a winger, but he has had some good performance, including Sheffield, where he's played more towards the inside left, and that is some in the midfield. And Saka has a good end product. He has assists and goals in him, and that is something to look forward to. Then we obviously have the likes of Willian, who can be tried out in the middle, and of course you have, you know, if you play someone like say Shaka and Partey, maybe you can put Ceballos a bit more up front. So one in a way, I'm not that worried about not getting Alvarez. Maybe with Partey, the balance improves and we could get something. But yeah, we still do lack the central in terms of attacking creative wise. But there are options. There are makeshift options which can be there, I guess. What is your take on the Partey signing, apart from what
I
maybe I have just
do
mentioned?
feel I was thrilled with Partey signing. It was like, it was there to happen. We knew it would happen, but we didn't know when it would happen. We didn't know if Arsenal would fork that
Yes.
kind of money. I was
Yeah.
thrilled with Partey coming in. It somehow also puts that question back in my head now, that how is Arteta going to play with both Partey and Xhaka? Because Xhaka in advanced role,
Yeah.
I don't really see how much he can. I mean, I feel that
Yes.
if Xhaka is in an advanced role versus Saka in an advanced role, or Ceballos in an advanced role, I feel
Yeah.
they can offer a lot more. So
Exactly.
that
Definitely.
puts a little bit of a question on Xhaka's presence in the team now. With Partey, you are right
Yeah.
that he is the engine. He's like that Fernandinho kind of a player who can drive, push,
Yes.
do
Yeah.
things from the center. He may, not be a box to box finisher like you said, but at least we know that he could be in the presence and wouldn't mind to take that one long shot once in a while.
Yeah.
But uh, the presence of back four definitely helps. Partey in the center probably may give Ceballos and Saka the freedom to move, just move and get a
Yes.
free
Yeah.
role in the center, which in turn gives, that adds that two extra links to from the center to the
Extra. Yeah.
forwards.
Exactly. Yeah.
So exciting
Because that is
times.
for me, that was something that, yeah. because that was for me a thing that we were missing out when we played the five at the back. Because when you play five at the back, your natural tendency is to take out one guy from the midfield, from the center midfield, and that does cause an imbalance in terms of creativity. So maybe this could be a very, very positive thing. So let's see how this goes. It's something. Hey, moving on to the next point. Overall, KU, if you see our transfer window, we signed Willian on a free. We signed Gabriel, center left-footed center back, for around 26 million, is what is reported. We signed Ceballos back on loan. We signed Partey. Along with this, you can say we did sign Saliba, but he's mostly going to be on loan. So that's a topic for another day. Maybe once he does complete the loan move. And from last season, you can say that we almost have Cedric and Mari. We can discuss those if you want, but basically we have re-signed Ceballos. We've got Gabriel, we've got Willian, and we've got Thomas Partey. How do you rate our window out of 10?
I would give it a solid 8. I mean, I would have given
Okay.
it a 10 out of 10 if or would have
Yes,
signed a.
definitely.
But again, not being greedy, I feel that more than the window, I feel that the best thing that happened is Arteta got the backing that which we
Yeah.
saw that was lacking with Unai Emery. Arteta got the
Yes.
backing from the board. He has players that he feels that will fit his vision or his way of playing from the back that he wants to
Yeah.
do these days. uh, the one thing that I feel that might still come back to bite us is I for some reason do not know, till now I do not know who this team is built around. So that for me is
Yeah.
like, is it built around the central midfield? Is it Oba who's going to be fed everything,
Yeah.
or is it going to be that? For me is a question. So that I
Exactly.
mean,
That's
in its early
yeah.
days, we will get to see that a lot more once we see how the first few games and when does Partey get a chance to get his role in Arsenal. But I think that it's a solid 8. The transfer window is a
Yeah.
solid 8. I am happy.
Uh, yeah. I think Keyur, you've brought up a brilliant point that not many people tend to bring up about building who the team is built around. I think predominantly, if you see towards the end of last season or when Arteta took over, you could say that Oba was the main man because he playing on the left and our entire attack was based on the left hand side, definitely. But this season, it's still up for grabs. Like nobody knows, this season it's a bit more difficult. We are trying to remove that left-handed bias, left-sided bias, and it's very interesting to see how. That's a very good point that you brought up, and it's worth looking into as to who does Arteta build the team. I mean, in an ideal world, you can say that Arteta wants to build the team around all his 11 players, but at the end of the day, it's always that you have one or two key players who you want everything to be around them, and that does make a very valid point.
So one thing that I would
Now,
add here
yeah,
is I think I would have given this window a solid 10 out of 10 if we had a few more exits. Right now,
yeah,
financially, we know we
yes,
are paying money to people that we know we won't be uh, playing at all.
exactly,
So that for me is
yes,
also a downer. But again, that
yeah,
is I mean, it's easy to shrug it off, but it's not our headache; it's the
yeah.
management's headache.
Management. Let's go back. Let's go to that point itself. So, the Arsenal have to register a squad for the Europa League and the Premier League. And right now in the Europa League, two big names have already been dropped in Mesut Ozil and Socrates. The rumor is that the same two might miss out even to make it to the Premier League squad. Arsenal couldn't sell the players. The only sale we got was of Emi Martinez, which was a good sale, but apart from that, we struggled. And truth be told, Arsenal have come under some amount of criticism, but the market has been such that it has been really difficult to offload such players because we tend to pay them a very high wage compared to what an average club outside Europe, outside England would pay. So it was difficult. But yeah, you can say that if you have to look at a big negative has been the way we've not sold players. And that has in turn made a big controversial point of Ozil and Socrates being dropped out of the league. There are a lot of things happening behind the scene. Ideally, I am a person who doesn't like to talk about this topic, but let's just touch up on this topic with regards to Ozil and Socrates exclusion. What is your take on that?
I was, I mean, I'll be honest. With Europa League, I feel that it's usually historically we have seen that the away goals come in and bite teams. So somebody
Yeah,
like Ozil not being there would not hurt us as much because of the fact that Ozil doesn't offer us anything defensively. Sometimes that
yeah,
1-0 goal lead is good enough to
yeah,
take you to the next stage. So I was not
yeah,
that bummed with Ozil being dropped there. And maybe Arteta knows what he wants from his team. And all
yeah,
that said and done, Socrates, I think we have enough cover up there. So I do not really want to,
yeah. That
I wouldn't
definitely.
really care about Socrates being dropped. Ozil being dropped
Yeah,
was the big name that needed a discussion. But I think also that with the
yeah,
Premier League, there are sometimes those key times when you know that we need somebody special to unlock that defense.
yeah,
11 people sitting behind and defending, and Arsenal has historically found it hard to
yeah.
break that. We try to overcome it
Difficult
and
to
we
break. Yeah,
lose in the meantime. So Ozil may get a 20-minute stint here and there to unlock something like this. But I think if I
yeah.
look at it, I won't be surprised if he has already played his last game for Arsenal.
True. Even I do feel the same, and there are too many things to speculate. Right now, it's mainly speculation. It's a big story, but I would only like to end the Ozil topic by one thing. In an ideal situation, I would have really, really preferred if this summer Ozil and Arsenal had parted ways. And the reason I say this is because what I'm tired of is having this drama between the two. Like, it's a PR battle between the club and Ozil all the time.
Exactly.
And it's an unnecessary overhead for the club and for the player. See, the player is a good player. I like him. Majority of us like him, but people are starting to dislike him because and it's at the same time there are people who are starting to go against the club because they do favor Ozil. And it's fair enough, but it's just that to have this constant battle between a player who has been a good servant for the club, and it's so unlike us. It's a constant PR battle and a constant drama and everything taking place, and this is going to most likely continue for another 10 months, which is something I just wanted it to end. Like, had we parted ways in some way or the other, it would have been nice. I would say thank you, Ozil, for your 6 years, 6, 7 years that you've been at the club. Let's just end it with a good way rather than the way it's going on. And it hurts to see this taking place at the club. So my
Absolutely.
only ending thought for this was it should have been there, but we are going to, and this is not the last time we talk about it. It's more topics are going to come up, sadly.
And
And yeah,
the fun thing would be this will again come back up when and if Arteta does decide to play him in one of the League Cups or in the FA Cup.
yes,
And
yeah,
incidentally, that would be the game when he gives you 2 or 3 assists and he plays an amazing game in that
exactly,
game.
yes,
And
yeah,
then people will, and it's the divisiveness that is caused because of the Ozil issue. It would have been better if
exactly,
Ozil was just like, let's just shake hands on good terms. Now, thank you for your service.
exactly, yeah.
Now,
So
it doesn't help the cause again that Arsene Wenger came back yesterday and said, Ozil
yes,
still has a future at Arsenal. You never know.
yeah,
And that is what
that's true.
Arsene Wenger's words were. Now, you don't know if Arsene Wenger is still trying to back him up from the times that he was playing for Arsenal.
He played, yeah,
But it's again, you're right. It's not a topic that will end right now.
exactly.
It will
It's
go on.
it's and it's something. Trust me, I'm really really fed up. I actually, like, in a previous my Arsenal Bangalore discussions that we had in these online discussions, I said this after the restart itself, after the Southampton game where he was there with an umbrella and they said that he has a back injury or something. I have been crying out loud since then, saying that this needs to end. And, like, frankly speaking, I'm really really tired of it. I actually don't like discussing it, but you see, every time a thing comes up, there will be YouTube, WhatsApp, Twitter, everything. There's a discussion, and it's really tiring. Anyways, let's move on to uh, go on ahead with our discussion. Next up is the big game against City. Massive game. We have players returning from the international break, and let me just put it on record here. I'm not happy with these international breaks because too many cases of players being in contact with getting tested positive. It's as of now it sounds like an absolute nonsense of some matches to have. But yeah, we come back into the City match where we'll hopefully get a party debut, and hopefully we'll have a lot of our squad fit. What are you expecting from this game?
I am. It's City home, right? We are playing City at their home, so we are going to traveling to City.
Yes, we are. Yeah, we are traveling to City. Yes.
I and realistically, I think Arsenal may win 2-1, 1-2. I think Arsenal will win
Interesting.
1-2, and that is because City looks unsettled. City is not
Yeah.
the City that we have known for in the last
Yes.
few years. They have looked
True.
extremely vulnerable. But then again, it's City. We know that City sometimes looks horrible, and then they come back
Yeah.
and thrash their opponent 7-1, eight
Yeah.
one, 9-1. You never know.
True.
So, but I think
Yeah.
judging by the current form, I think we could get something out from that City game, either a point
Yeah.
or we may as well come back with three.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see because Arteta did take a point off in the. I mean, we did win against City in the FA Cup. It's ideally, I feel it's not going to be easy, but this is a game. As you said, City do look unsettled a bit. Their defense does have quite a few issues, and Arsenal can take advantage of that. And let's see if Partey hits the ground up and running. He could be a very decisive factor. So let's see how that uh, goes. Now, okay, moving on to the next part. Prior to this, we had said that, we said that we would catch up after the transfer window, and based on how the transfer window goes, we will see what are your expectations from Arsenal and maybe the other teams. So, if I have to just put it after the overall transfer window, where do you see Arsenal finishing now? And amongst all the clubs, if you have to just briefly summarize how they have done it or which team catches your eyes, and what is the can you just sum it up that way how you feel?
Bang for buck, I feel Everton had an amazing transfer window. Everton plugged
Yeah.
all the goal gaps that they had with Ancelotti in charge. They will
Yes.
be a force to reckon with. It won't be easy. Everton will be in the mix for top four, top five at least.
Yeah.
Um, Chelsea spent like crazy. They were out for 2 years, so they came back and they spent insanely. I think they overspent
Yeah.
it a little bit.
Yes.
I won't be surprised if Chelsea doesn't go all the way. I mean, fifth
Yeah,
or sixth maybe for
because
Chelsea.
they have the quality, but a lot of questions can be asked about
Yes,
Lampard's management thing for sure.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And United just look out of sorts, altogether out of sorts. I do not know
Yeah.
how United, but United made two decent buys on the last day, so I think that they could still rate their window as 6 or 7 out of 10. Uh,
No, but I mean, do you think United had a good window? I
I
feel United personally. I feel United have been mismanaged big time this window because
You're right.
imagine you're
I would
going
say
into a
that I
you're,
think United, for me, had a good window. I always think that United do have the players to make it happen. I think Ole Gunnar
yeah,
Solskjaer is not a manager for a
he
club that has
exactly.
intentions for top four.
True. No, I mean, I agree. United do have a very good squad already, but if you want to take the team, you're already in the Champions League, you have Champions League attraction, you have the money. I mean, I feel United could have done much better. Like, I know this is not a United topic, but podcast, but the way we are talking about United is they went into a window wherein they were after Sancho, and they made an initial bid of some 80 plus 20 million, which was fine, which came up to 100, which fair enough. You had 80 million to spend on Sancho, but you have not ended up buying a player in that area at all. You end up buying Cavani, who's a 33-year-old striker who might have an Ibrahimovic impact, no doubt, but he was free throughout the summer, and they went for him on the last day. They brought Donny van de Beek, who's a very good midfielder, but when you already have the likes of Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in the similar roles, he is another midfielder who's, I mean, it's good squad depth, but are you paying 40 million for squad depth? So that is the question. And apart from this, they signed Alex Tejas, who's a 27-year-old left back, which is a decent shout considering United to have left back. I feel United have not done that well, and that too with their current Ole Solskjaer being there. It's, I mean, as a person who was born and brought up during the prime Fergie and Wenger
Oh,
era, like the same, it's disappointing to see them go on this
it's
line. Like I would much prefer United as a rival than the current this thing. But yeah,
not
that is how it is.
nothing can be considered to that prime Fergie era.
Uh,
It was just
true,
absolutely. He could have
true.
won games with absolute nobodies.
With
He
this
was that
squad,
good.
yeah,
Ferguson
exactly,
was that
yeah,
good. But I feel again,
yeah,
I feel that with Solskjaer, I feel that if a manager who actually knows what he's doing comes in, they would
yes,
actually have a
he could,
decent,
yeah,
you know, I would think they could end up having a decent season. With this one,
yeah,
I doubt United would, actually make an impact.
Yeah,
Squad wise, yes, they have squad players who are really, they can put in a shift and they can make things happen their way.
yeah,
But 6 to 7 out of 10 is how I would rate their window. I wouldn't give them
yeah.
much.
True.
But again, Spurs I felt had a decent window as well. I know
They did actually. Yeah,
they actually had a decent window. I think that Spurs. The only thing that I feel that Spurs may hamper Spurs is we don't know which Mourinho shows up.
yeah.
Is it
True,
the one who parks the bus? Because this squad is not meant to park the bus. Their best odds are if they attack, 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 and score.
true. And ideally, you can see that. I mean, see, you can make sense out of Mourinho's tactics because he would definitely still want to park the bus and hit them on the counter. That is where you can see the likes of Bale, Kane, Son. They are going to be his front three that are just going to create. The remaining
Hmm.
8 players are just going to like sit back and defend, which is what brings me to the point with Spurs is they not getting a centre back might be one of the costly errors for them because they were after Skriniar from Inter Milan and they didn't get him, and their defense is a bit susceptible. So that is definitely there. I think one shout out from my side would be Liverpool for sure because Liverpool was a team that everybody thought would stagnate, but then because they were quite one-dimensional in the sense their attack usually comes heavy from the wings and it's
From the
very
wings.
potent. It's
Hmm.
very interesting, but they could have struggled against some teams that parked the bus, but now they've ended gone and brought in Thiago Silva and even Jota as a backup, which makes
Thiago
their team.
Alcantara.
Yeah, sorry, Thiago Alcantara, my bad.
Yeah.
So they have gotten some quality to refresh the squad, which is it's quite a positive move for them, and that's a good shout. City, on the other hand, went in and got two left-sided defenders. Wait, did I get two defenders? Which, let's face it, they are not the best of defenders. It's a bit odd to see City buying those kind of players, but they lost David Silva and Sane, but they've replaced only one attacking midfielder. I mean, and Ferran Torres. They've got Phil Foden, who's most likely going to take up David Silva's role. But I think even City in that way could have made another signing or two, maybe to challenge be up there. But by not doing that, they might be on the back. Like one of the things for me that City should have tried to invest in is try to get an Aguero replacement because Aguero has a lot of injuries and to not have because when Aguero is not there, Jesus doesn't perform to that level, and that is something that is going to be quite to
And
watch for.
I also quick mention of United again. We touched Cavani, but Cavani was injured for like 8 months, and all these injuries that they have coming in right now are like the soft tendon injuries, which
Yeah,
tend to keep you out for extended periods. So if Cavani does get injured, it's going to be pretty much like
yeah,
okay, Cavani sits there. It's going to be the
yes,
Diaby
exactly.
kind of
Yeah,
a deal. But
exactly.
yeah,
It's
you're right.
quite.
Liverpool made changes. Leicester, one thing that I have to say massively about Leicester is their scouting and their talent hunt, whoever does it, it's
Yeah,
excellent. They get these
it's
nobodies
it's
and they
really
turn them into
yeah,
amazing players.
true. Yeah, and they have a very good shout for them. They are a club that finished fifth last year, should have finished fourth ideally, but definitely there's lots to look forward to in Leicester itself. One of the key competitors to look for. I think another shout would be, but it's a bit one-dimensional, but yeah, would be Wolves, who have brought in quite a few good players. But then again, that Wolves are only going to buy Portuguese players, so that is a thing. But yeah, they seem to have done their team quite well, and let's see how that goes for them. So yes, and of course, then we have Arsenal, who let's see how we have. I mean, now that the window is over, then we have got the likes of Partey when we wanted Partey an hour, and you see how the other teams have strengthened to. What would be which position do you feel Arsenal are finishing?
I think second or third.
Oh,
I think
that's
second or
quite
third.
interesting.
I We will have an impact on the table, that's for sure. We will,
Yeah,
it won't just be it's Arsenal. It's going to be we are. It's psychologically, I feel that in the past, in the last few years of Wenger and Unai Emery and then Freddie Ljungberg,
yeah,
the common pattern was teams were not scared to come and visit us, or
not
teams were not
ex.
scared
Yes,
when we visited them. So it was like they
yeah,
had a set module that, okay, defend against Arsenal, and they will give you an
yeah,
opening when they try to overcome it. With this
exactly.
Arsenal
Yes,
squad, they know that
You
it's
can
not just
see,
anybody
yeah,
who's defending. They have. So
yeah,
I think that we have put that fear factor back.
yeah.
We may not, I mean, I think that we may at least add 15 points from where we left last season
True.
to this squad, just because I don't see us dropping games from 1-0 or 2-0 like we did last time.
Yeah.
So I
Actually,
think
that's a
it
fair
could
shout
have an
because
impact.
if you see in our games so far, our first match was against Fulham, a relegation side that a newly promoted side that we played away. Last season, the newly promoted sides were Sheffield, Norwich, and which was the third one?
Villa? No. Was it
Sheffield,
Villa?
Yeah, Sheffield, Norwich, and Villa, and we didn't
Yeah,
get a single point. With all the no, we got only 1 point against Norwich, which again, I mean, it's not like for like comparison, but we've taken 3 points Fulham away already, which is already better than last season. Then you see the likes of Sheffield. Last season, we dropped 2 points against Sheffield at home. We got all 3 points, which shows that these were matches. And people will think that we are like, what is this level we are talking about? Arsenal should ideally win, which is true, but that was not the case over the last 2 years. Over the
exactly.
last 2 years, these were the games where Arsenal was expected to win, but nobody was feared us anymore. Like, they would just, we would visit them or they would come to us, as you said, and go all out to get points. But that is one thing, see, that is one thing which I want to give credit to Arteta. Yes, the attack might be suffering a bit. It was suffering even before Arteta. But what Arteta has done is made the defense a bit more structured, a bit more solid, which massive credit to him. This is not an Arsenal defense that we are used to. But to see it defending as a unit like this is something really, really good. And this is the building base. From this you build up now. And hopefully with the players that we have, they start to click. Looking forward to that. So yeah.
Absolutely. I
So
am
can you?
keeping my fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
yeah. I know we will probably not meet before the City match. So let me just take your. I mean, you have predicted, so I guess you are going for a 2-1 Arsenal victory against City.
I think
Yes.
City may not score. I mean, judging by how
Yeah.
City has
Oh,
played so far, I think
interest.
City may not score. Unless there is a David Luiz that shows up,
Okay.
which we know it could be a flip
Yes,
flop,
that
then
is
it will be
that
a
is
3-0
always
City
that's
over.
always a variable. Yeah,
But
that's always a variable factor.
yeah,
I
that's the
Yeah,
difference, I think. What do you think?
yeah. And I think I'll go for a 1-1 draw. I mean, I don't see us winning away right now, but I think Arteta could pull off a draw this time, and that would be still massive considering the other games we have ahead. So yeah, I think that should be all for today. We've covered the main topics in terms of the transfer, and we look forward to having the Premier League back. We need football back really badly with the
So
international breaks. And
I agree. I think one transfer that we didn't talk about at all, and which was really sad, was the transfer of Gunnarsson, which was,
oh,
like it was something that I would have added an extra point for. Like, why would you want
yeah,
to get rid of somebody like that? But
yeah.
it is what it is. I think they have to balance the
It
check.
is what, yeah, exactly. So, a lot of people have been questioning. If you look at it from an outside point of view, it's maybe the fact that, Arsenal I heard a lot of journalists say that Arsenal are doing a restructure. They are in the name of the coronavirus, they are doing cut downs, which was bound to happen at some point of time. They wanted a lean management. And they've said it with the Gunnosaurus that he will be back once the fans come back, which is fair enough. But for my thing is, such kind of news shouldn't have been leaked out at all. The very fact that it
Absolutely.
has come out in the media is something, it causes
And
an unnecessary overhead, which has exactly, it has made us talk about it. It's making everyone talk about it, and it's been blown out of proportion. But that's what everybody wants at the end of the day. So
yeah, and
yeah.
on a lighter note, I also heard somewhere that maybe Ozil might be wearing that jersey. Uh, he can have some impact on the game, sit on the sidelines, but
Yeah.
oh
So
well,
so that
he's a
yeah.
big name. We shouldn't be joking
Yes,
about it. He
definitely.
contributed.
Yeah. True. So yes, Keyur, let's catch up next weekend. Maybe hopefully we'll have a positive discussion with regards to the City match, and we look forward to we'll have somewhere back next time too. So good to have you with us for another episode, a
Thank
good
you.
discussion after a long
Good to
time.
have
And
you. Mhm.
guys, do subscribe to our channel and follow us. Give it a like and do share your feedback or share your comments with regards to it. We look forward to catching up with you next time. Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.